When my grandmother passed away, she left behind a rambling Victorian house stuffed with strange antiques. Among her belongings was a note addressed to me. It read, "To my dearest, beware the collection in the attic. Whatever you do, don't touch the dolls." I'd always known Grandma was a bit eccentric, but the warning felt oddly specific. Naturally, curiosity got the better of me. A week after the funeral, I found myself climbing the narrow stairs to her attic. The space was suffocatingly hot and filled with boxes of old books, faded photographs, and, just as she'd written, a collection of dolls. They were lined up on dusty shelves, dozens of them, each one more unsettling than the last. Their glassy eyes seemed to follow me as I moved around the room. At the center of the display stood the most exquisite doll I'd ever seen. She was about 2 feet tall, dressed in a faded lace gown, her porcelain face eerily lifelike. Unlike the others, she seemed almost aware. I felt a chill run down my spine as I stared into her painted blue eyes. I should have left the attic then and there, but something about that doll drew me in. That night I dreamed of Grandma sitting in her favorite chair sewing a doll's tiny dress. When she looked up at me, her face twisted into something grotesque, her mouth stretched too wide, her eyes hollow. "You shouldn't have touched them," she hissed, her voice echoing in my ears. I woke up drenched in sweat, only to find that my bedroom door was ajar. I distinctly remembered locking it before going to bed. Brushing it off as a draft, I settled back under the covers, but just as I was about to fall asleep, I heard a faint tap, tap, tap on the wooden floor. I turned on the lamp, my heart pounding. Sitting in the middle of the room was the doll from the attic. The next morning I told myself I must have been dreaming. I carried the doll back to the attic and left it on the shelf. But when I came home from work, it was sitting on my coffee table, its head tilted as if watching me. Every night after that, I'd find the doll in a different spot, perched on the edge of my bed, propped up on the kitchen counter. Once even sitting in the passenger seat of my car, I tried locking it in a box, burying it in the yard, even throwing it into the trash. Each time it came back looking a little worse for wear, its dress dirtier, its face cracked, but always staring at me with those unblinking blue eyes. Desperate, I started researching my grandmother's life, trying to find answers. That's when I stumbled across an old newspaper article about a doll maker named Martha Blackwell who had lived in the house over a century ago. According to the article, Martha had a reputation for creating dolls so lifelike that they were unsettling. Some said she used real human hair in her creations, others whispered that her dolls contained the souls of those who crossed her. Martha died under mysterious circumstances, but her dolls were never found. I began to wonder if Grandma had discovered them, and if that's why she warned me. The next time the doll appeared, its face was shattered, revealing something beneath the porcelain. I summoned every ounce of courage I had, and smashed the doll against the floor. Beneath the broken pieces was a small desiccated skull. The doll's body convulsed, and for a moment I swear I heard a scream, high-pitched and agonizing, before the pieces went still. Thinking I'd ended the nightmare, I burned the remains and scattered the ashes. But the following night I woke up to the sound of scratching at my bedroom door. When I opened it, the entire collection of dolls from the attic was lined up in the hallway, their cracked faces turned toward me. And at the very end of the line stood the doll I had burned, her face perfectly intact, her blue eyes glinting in the dark.